In my brain, I was like, The Last Dance? Does he mean the movie about, like, the hip-hop dancer and the ballerina that I have personally watched, like, 17 times?
Yo ho ho, it's time for the Bodie Show. Living on the water is the only life we know. Yo ho ho ho, it's time for the Bodie Show.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Just
New
trying
Good job,
honey. Good work.
to, even though we're going to celebrate December 26th from now on as letdown day.
It's not that for you, though.
No, it's like, thank God this is over day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
And-
not over because usually there's still some lingering guests and stuff. It just
The needles on the tree but you know what? Generally speaking, we were discussing this earlier today. Earlier in our situationship, you got really stressed out around the holidays and you don't anymore. And that's nice.
I hope it's helpful for you.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, listeners. We're grateful you're here with us today. And we're grateful that you gave us a week off because we took a week off last week. How was that?
Yeah, 2025, here we come.
2025. We're in it. After 49 episodes, we were like, you know what? Let's take a little holiday break. Let's have a little New Year's pause. And it was interesting because I was like, on one hand, I was like, oh, okay, one less thing to do. On the other hand, I was like, this has become such a fun, happy, satisfying part of my weekly routine that I felt like something was missing. So I went and found another.
I feel like everything was so weird and amorphous because with like all that, with the between Christmas and New Year's thing that everyone talks about, like you don't know what day of the week it is. I feel like everything, and then plus we traveled. We moved around the world a little, right?
We did.
We went to the same place, but not together.
Yeah, we went to the same province.
We went to the same province. Oh. You were in the Eastern Townships, right?
Of
Skiing?
Of Quebec.
Of Quebec.
In Canada. And
which is one of my very favorite places to go.
The Eastern Townships?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Love that place.
And I had been there before, but only by boat.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah. So we decided to punch out of the U.S. and go take a break somewhere. My son wanted to go skiing, wanted to bring a couple friends. And so we headed into the Eastern Townships to find a couple of ski mountains and a town. When we stayed in Magog. Is that how you say it?
Magog.
Magog. We stayed in Magog.
With the emphasis on the second syllable.
Right. We drove up what do you call it? We drove up the New York Thruway on the way up, and that was nice. And then we drove 91 on the way back along the Connecticut River, which is the border between Vermont and New Hampshire. And I've got a story about that.
So you saw water.
Yeah, we saw water.
It wasn't actually a watery trip, but you saw water.
No, and I'd say the biggest boaty tie-in was that we crossed over the Richelieu River right near Saint Jean sur Richelieu, Saint Jean on the Richelieu, and saw the canal. We actually saw the canal that we used to bypass the rapids, the Chambly Canal, which bypasses these rapids on the Richelieu River. The Richelieu River drains the northern part of, it's fed by Lake Champlain. Oh, wow. So Lake Champlain drains north. Yep.
Well, that's what I needed I needed you to say those words in a slightly different fashion so that I could understand what you were trying to say. But I think that I was going to the same place in my mind because I know that those are tributaries, like they feed into the St. Lawrence. And the reason I know that is because the IJC told me all about it back when I was just like, you guys just take care of the St. Lawrence. And they were like, no. We take care of everything that goes into the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence.
What?
And that's how I know about all
Spell
those
out
trips.
IGC.
Oh.
IJC is the International
JC.
Joint Commission, which is the little-known sort of bureaucratic body that governs water levels, flows, and to some extent quality on a lot of international boundary waters between the U.S. and Canada.
So the IJC was established by a treaty, right?
Correct. It was established by the Treaty of 1909, Boundary Waters Treaty, between at the time the U.S. and
09.
Well, it's U.S. and Canada now, right? But it was England. Anyway, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, 1909. I don't know if Canada was still like a formal protectorate or whatever its status was back then.
Yeah, I think it was more Queenie than it is now.
I wish it was still Queenie.
Coin a phrase.
I don't know where I'm going to go with that, but I feel like I feel a strong urge to go somewhere with it.
Apologies to all Canadians. I don't know if that was insulting or not, but I feel like the Canadians will understand what I'm trying to say.
Any Canadians listening to this right now are like, yeah, Royal,
right.
And they're like,
Queenie,
they're really hoping Royal. I don't go toward like, the rock
drag
band
show that Missy just went to.
Yeah, the drag show or the rock band or anything like that. But the Boundary Waters Treaty is cool because there's a lot of Canadian-U.S. border that's like in the middle of a body of water. Yeah.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
It is, and they have it was really interesting, super interesting to work on because it was like not really binational, but sort of tri-national because there's also a lot of First Nations involved as well.
Yep.
And everything, all of the decisions that get made are kind of, everything's by consensus. It's sort of diplomacy, because it's treaty based. It was really interesting work.
Cool. Yeah,
a lot of fun.
So the Richelieu River, because it flows into the St. Lawrence, and so
right. But you're right. Does that mean that it flows directly north?
Yeah,
out of Lake Champlain.
Yeah, I'll come back to that. I want to just ask a question. Does the International Joint Commission govern the Richelieu? Do they have
it? They do. Anything that is a tributary is under their jurisdiction. Yes. Now the question of how much they have to do with it, or whether they have anything they have to do with it, those are all questions. But yes, it's under their jurisdiction if it is tributary to an international boundary water.
So a tributary to an international boundary water. So if like somebody wanted to build a dam across the Richelieu,
they would have to get involved in the treaty process. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Because I passed those too. Because we went to Montreal and I was passing. I was doing the same thing, like checking out all those little rivers and thinking the same thing in my head. I'm like, I'm pretty sure these are tributaries, but that means that they flow directly north. And I didn't know that the Richelieu came from Champlain. It makes sense, but
you crossed
crazy.
The Richelieu?
I think so. Yeah. No, I'm sure I did.
I get so confused about where Montreal is. I always think of it being west, and it's not. It's like north of.
Yeah, it's northeast. Yeah, it's pretty far east.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
In fact, you were only an hour. You were like an hour southeast of where I was.
Yeah. Well, I know. I could tell that one of the mountains that we went to, Bromont, and there were surprisingly few bro jokes by the bros I was with. They didn't like nibble on that. It was interesting, and I didn't say anything. I was just sort of waiting to see what happened.
Do you have some marketing ideas right out of the gate?
Oh yeah. And there was
that's a nice mountain. They're I like all of them. Did you see Lake Memphremagog?
Please say that again.
Lake Memphremagog. It's a really great name. It's
Missy,
a great name.
Memphremagog. I think I saw that sign. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and so Owl's Head, where we always went, is right on the top, like right by Memphremagog, Loch Memphremagog.
The cross-country ski place, the Owl's Head that you used to go?
Owl's Head is downhill.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
But it's a little smaller than the two that you went to. We went to Orford and Bromont.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
You just threw a little French on how you pronounce Bromont. Nice work. Hey, have you been in Quebec?
Yes, I have been. I have been the obnoxious American that when the Quebecois come over to your table and they say bonjour, hello, I say bonjour, even though I don't speak French.
Yeah, and then they rip into French, and you're like, oh.
And I'm like, I don't speak French. I just like saying bonjour. Like, it's so annoying. They're like, there's only one reason we do that, and it is to determine which language to use. So my kids were kind of annoyed with me for doing that, but can't help it.
Let's get back to the water. So when you look at the map, Lake Champlain, which is square in the middle of Vermont, it's a long and like a very long elongated body of water runs north to south. And when you look at it, you're like, oh, there's like it tapers very over a very long distance from the north to the south. And you're like, oh, you look at that, you're like, oh, that must be the river that like drains it, because all rivers flowed south.
Right.
But having taken the Champlain Canal from the Hudson past Ticonderoga and all that, not past Ticonderoga, because Ticonderoga is actually next to Lake Champlain, but having taken the Champlain Canal from the Hudson to Champlain, you go up and then back down. So there are two different watersheds. And when you go back down, so that canal, the way we traveled that canal, we went from south to north. So we were going straight north on this canal, and we climbed up a few locks, traversed, and then descended a couple of locks. And when we descended, we dropped into the very bottom of Lake Champlain, which looks a lot like a small river because it tapers way down there. And then we got into Lake Champlain, and I didn't really think about this, like, because you just have I have such a strong bias in my head that, rivers flow from the north to the south. They flow southward. But then we got to the top of Lake Champlain, and the Richelieu River just like straight up drains Lake Champlain into the St. Lawrence. And all that water in Champlain, whatever flows into it from that watershed, goes down the Richelieu River and then into the St. Lawrence at Sorel. So how about that? There you go. Had never really thought about that. This is
I hadn't either. It's cool though. I mean, and you took it, right? But then you turned and came down the river.
Yeah, we went into this was funny. Like, you talk about boundary waters, and there's a border in the midst of a body of water. I think we've talked about this on the show before. There was a buoy that said, "This is where the border is."
That's right.
And it was the first time I'd ever really known, other than looking at the GPS, where the border was. But it was the border buoy, and I got a good picture of it. And we went to Saint Jean, which now it's pronounced Saint Jean, because Saint Jean was all over the place up there, and I got to look him up, what Saint Jean was all about, because I got at the ski resort, I went to pick up the lift tickets for the kids, and I was like feeling great. It was fun morning, everything, and started like chatting this poor Quebecois lady up who spoke English, but like clearly didn't really want to. Because there's a lovely, it's actually an enjoyable indifference to the Quebecois. They're like, yeah, I don't care about you or what you are saying. And everybody's
but there's
cool
kindness there too. Oh, there's there's tolerance, maybe is the word.
It's an authenticity, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, they're like, it's not like, I don't care at all, like piss off. It's not like that. It's just like, they're not going to put on a mask and pretend to care.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's good.
That you speak English?
No, just that to interact.
Care at all.
Yeah. Anyway, I asked her, so what did St. Jean do? And she was like, what? St. Jean. He's like, I see signs everywhere. And she's like, oh, you mean St. Jean? I was like, ooh, ugly.
Nice. You got the full-on correction.
But back to trying to keep this a Bodie show, damn it.
Yeah.
Not a just like bullshit about whatever you want show.
That's the other podcast that we do.
Yeah, that's the one that we haven't actually recorded. But we went into Saint Jean, took the Chambly around the rapids, Richelieu down to Sorel, which is like a kind of like a port town there's a bunch of shipbuilding and
Sorel Tracy, yep.
And a bunch of shipbuilding and ship repair that happens there. And then we hung a left and went upstream up the St. Lawrence to Montreal.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think of it as up, but we were actually traveling in the southwesterly direction. But that's up the river. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we?
Well, it was nice to be, for me, in a different part of the world. I felt connected to the river. I saw the river multiple times, while in Montreal, and that was about as close to anything watery or boaty that I really did. We did a lot of Ubering, which is not boaty.
But it should be. There should be a boat
Uber.
We do talk about that a lot, right?
Boat Uber, boober.
Exactly, it's boober.
By you.
Yeah.
Other people wouldn't call it that.
Why not? Boat Uber.
It's clearly what it needs to be.
You tried to go to a spa on a boat.
Yeah, well, I didn't try that hard. I wanted to, and I talked about it, which, as you know, is like 90% of me trying to do things. So, did I do it? Sort of. But there is one, and my your sister-in-law and family have been there multiple times. It's called Bota Bota, and it is a spot on a boat on the St. Lawrence River. It sounds and looks delightful, but no, I did not go there because really, like you, I was chaperoning teenage boys, and shockingly, they were more interested in shopping for gaming keyboards than they were in going to a spa with me. So anyway, onward and upward.
It was all about like not joining the conversation.
Yeah, that's what we thought. You and I had the parallel experience in this way. My kids were having a really good time, which made me really happy. And we had hooked up with this other kid, long story, and they were all chit-chatting about Fortnite in the back seat. And it was my main job to just not interject at all. Just don't say anything. And the minute I said something, they would politely respond and then stop talking for long periods.
I had the same thing. It wasn't about Fortnite. It was about whatever they were showing each other on their phones. There was a lot of that. Like, ha 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 ha. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. What are they? Look at this. Look at that. Like showing the phone. It was great kids. Walker had a lot of fun. I will say that he wanted to go to Quebec to practice his French, which made me a very proud papa because in the school district we're in, a couple of the elementary schools will start the kids on a language in like friggin' kindergarten.
Early. Yeah.
And so he's been taking French since
not quite kindergarten, but yeah.
Yeah, he's been taking French since elementary school, and he
That's so cool.
When we were in Quebec
the last time
he used
several
it
years ago.
2 years ago. Yep. And he used his French, and it actually like saved us because we needed to get gas at a marina, and the guy did not speak any English, and he didn't really want to, and so Walker remembered enough to kind of like break the ice and get the guy on our side. And
nice.
Yeah, it was good. And so
that is so great that just having that extra amount of time to get good at it. And then there is nothing like being able to have a place where you can fairly easily get to a place where people speak it. So good for him for wanting to do that.
Yeah, he wanted to go. And he, in 2 years, his French improved considerably. He was about the same level of confidence, but he was reading and, just kind of like starting in on communication. I won't say conversation pretty regularly, which was cool. And, he probably won't listen to this, but I said, I took this as like, I'm going to like teach the boys life skills, which pretty much meant I'm going to not do things that I don't want to do and make them do it. Like I made them vacuum the car before we drove up. They're so excited. I'm like, all right, before we leave, you got to vacuum the car. They're like, really? Okay. And then I'm like, all right, before we leave, you got to wash the windows of the car. They're like, okay, really? Let's go. All right. Yeah. Great. And we got up there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take you out to dinner the first night. And the next night you're going to go to the grocery store and get a bunch of food and then cook it for all of us. And they're like, okay, cool. I was like, this keeps working. I'm going to keep doing this.
What did they make? That's so cute.
They bought a lot of meat. They got steaks, sausages, and chicken kebabs.
A lot of meat.
Nice. Meat circus. Sounds like summer.
And they cooked it all up. And when they got back, actually no, that was when they got back from I would ski with them in the morning and then punch out so that they could do their thing. And they got back one afternoon and Walker said, "Dad, I got a girl's snap in French."
Oh boy. I'm so proud of him.
Right? So and I think I heard that she added him back, which is a milestone in teenage flirtation via the Snappy Chatty.
It's fabulous.
Anybody out there that has younger kids, this is where you're headed and nobody tells you anything about it. Right? Like it's like, oh, parenting here is like hard and there's all these resources and you got to like, and then you get to like what's truly actually the hardest part of parenting and there's no information out there.
Yeah, it's actually and I think we've talked about this, like your real job is to just stay out of stuff or to teach yourself to start staying out of what the right things anyway, right? Staying out of not everything, but like just like the reversing that whole process of getting better and better at doing all this stuff, and then you have to sort of backpedal that process. And yes, it's complicated.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the hardest part though. I don't know. We could debate that all day long. But remember when we had to just like get up and run around and it was really messy? I didn't love that.
That was hard.
I'd take that in a heartbeat compared to the like confusing like opaque, can't win situation of parenting teenagers. Okay, enough of that. That gets dark. That's what we did over break. We had a nice conversation about that. We got a lot to talk about today. It's all good. And again, we're grateful people put up with us being gone for a week. Hope you had a nice holiday season, or at least like a less crappy one or a not crappy one. I don't know.
We hope you hated the holidays less than Jeff.
Than I do. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, we how's it going? Did you survive the holidays?" I think I'm surviving. Like, this is all elective. We're like choosing to do stuff. It's like, hey, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. Did you survive punching yourself in the face? Ugh.
My least favorite is that it's starting in like November 2nd and a half. Everyone starts being like, "Y'all ready for the holidays?" Like as if there wasn't enough stress.
You're ready to punch yourself in the face?
Everyone needs to be like, "Are you ready for the holidays?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Whoa, chill out." No, I'm definitely not. But that's okay.
Right.
I did, for the most part, enjoy the holidays. It was all fine, but I'm also not super sad they're over. You're
also Jewish, so you can like elect or not.
Yeah, exactly. We got to have that. We had the latkes on the Christmas. It was delightful.
Yeah.
What's next?
We have a listener correction. Melissa.
Last week, Jeff talked a lot about Schuylkill Navigation, the Schuylkill Navigation Project here in Philadelphia, and we have since been in contact with people who know a whole heck of a lot more about it than we do. And we were told that the Schuylkill Navigation was not later called the Lehigh Navigation, as Jeff said. The Lehigh is a whole different system. It's more or less parallel to the Schuylkill Navigation to the northeast.
And we're talking about
River.
These things are describing canal systems. Yeah. What's the first name of the person who got back to us? Because they actually listened to the show.
Yeah. The person's name is Sandy. I believe this person is retired from the Philadelphia Water Department and but used to be the historian.
That's so cool that they have a historian.
Which was, I mean...
Then there were a couple of other things. The other listener corrections. So I was wrong. Schuylkill Navigation Company, Schuylkill Navigation, did not turn into the Lehigh Navigation Company, Lehigh Navigation.
No, that was it. Oh, except Sandy thought that you confused the Falls of the Schuylkill and the falls at Flat Rock a couple times, that you might have gotten them.
That sounds impossible. That sounds very possible. So yeah.
Yeah, well, can you imagine the Philadelphia Water Department's historian listening to you tell this story and then cringing Sandy, every time you got Sandy, one of those things
Thank you very much for listening. We're very grateful for that. And also, we apologize for making you listen to my half-informed...
They were super excited.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
They were super excited that you were drawing attention to the subject.
Yeah, because there's a big deal going on that we're gonna dive into, and I'll use this as a segue. So Sandy, thank you very much, because you're right. I did a little bit of research and then I spouted off. So the Schuylkill River was at one point known as officially perhaps the dirtiest river in the country.
The most contaminated,
just the dirtiest, nastiest sewer, and that's why it's got such a bad reputation, because everybody's like, "Oh, there's dead bodies and it'll kill you. Don't get the water on you, all that stuff."
Whenever we talk about anything with regard to boating or swimming or anything in the Schuylkill, people are like, "What?"
So there's
that's crazy.
There's this genetic memory of it being awful, and it's not, as we've talked about. And so I dove into that history lesson last episode, because that is the origin story for how it started out as a beautiful river with tons and tons of fish and people boating and doing all kinds of stuff on it. Got turned into an industrial waterway. And then what's exciting is that it was the first river to be cleaned up in the US. And it was the first time the federal government got involved in a cleanup. And that happened between 1947 and 1951, I believe.
Way before there was an EPA.
Yeah, way before there was an EPA. And we talked a couple episodes ago about the Clean Water Act being based on something that was legislation that was passed in 1948. And so we're going to learn a lot more about this. And what's wild is that there's a neat book called A River Again that we'll keep talking about as we like address this over a number of episodes, potentially like together with our friends. Well, we're not friends yet, but with the people that we have gotten in touch with.
But we have front-loaded affection.
We have front-loaded affection. So, Sandy, if you're listening to this, if it feels like we're stalking you, that's not happening. It's just front-loaded affection.
Which so far has proved to be extremely effective.
Yes.
Yes.
So, effective at what?
I'm just saying the last people we felt that way about, like, stop.
Oh.
phone calls.
She was being facetious.
The front-loaded affection for the floaty people? Yeah, they're out. We were really excited about it.
Hopefully this
It might
works
be
out
less
better.
charming than we thought it was.
Yeah. That's why Missy's the intermediary right now with the people of the Philadelphia Water Department.
That's good.
Yeah. But the river actually got so full of coal silt. And so I talked about the origin of the anthracite coal economy with that, the Josiah White and the mill and all that stuff. But like to make coal, you got to wash it with a lot of water, and coal dust gets washed off the coal. The Schuylkill, the floodplain changed because there was so many millions of tons of coal dust in the river sitting on the bed, and it got so shallow that it changed the floodplains and all sorts of stuff. And you couldn't boat on it. You couldn't like do anything with it. Like it was just whacked. So, that's why I was doing that history lesson. And there was a little aside about the John Dickinson and the Revolutionary War and all that, but that was just me, enjoying this historical context for the river, for the Schuylkill Navigation Company, the Schuylkill Navigation Program, the Schuylkill Navigation Project, which was this cleanup that we're going to try and learn a bunch more about.
And going forward, we're going to try and focus it on the navigation of the Schuylkill River based on what you were just talking about the coal finds and all that.
Right. And, that has clean impact. That has not just navigation, like being able to go out on it, but also, the
Quality.
Yeah, water quality and wanting to be out on it in a boat and navigate it in the first place. Okay. How'd I do?
Good.
Thanks, Missy. Missy's going to help us focus. She's good like that. So
Wait, so you said this is the first federal cleanup ever of a river?
that's my understanding. And I'm reading this book, A River Again, right now.
I'm just thinking about that. And was it based on, was the intent, do you guys know, is the intention of the cleanup to make it navigable or to make it actually cleaner or both? Do we know?
We're going to learn.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't
Sounds
know.
good.
We don't know yet.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
in
this-
the big arc, when people start caring about that, about when people,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's making me think about a bunch of stuff from the IJC days, but I'll tag in with that later because I don't want to get off track and get yelled at by Missy. That happens a lot.
I would never yell at you, Steph.
Not at you.
I know.
Yeah. She wouldn't yell at me, but she would give me looks. And it's good that this is an audio format.
Nobody can see the eye darts.
Eye darts. Yeah. Yeah. Was it navigation? Yes. Was it environmental? Yes, in the sense that the Schuylkill still to this day supplies a lot of the drinking water for the city of Philadelphia and a whole bunch of other towns around it.
Right, but it's so interesting to me to from an objective standpoint, and I'm sure Missy's aware of all this too. But at some point, it's really there's a big shift that happens when everyone can talk about use, right? We need it to be clean so we can drink it. But at some point, there's an intrinsic value in in the nature itself, and the question of when that actually appears in the sort of collective mind as something that's worth doing is an interesting question.
When it goes from
Fishable, swimmable.
well, that's still use, but when it dips toward conservation of when
it's it should be clean because it's better for everyone, not just so that we can fish from it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right, cool.
I mean that too, but it's an interesting question.
RJ Marine in Clayton, New York. So much more than gas. It's true that RJ Marine has the best expertly staffed fuel dock in the area. When planning boaty adventures, the smart captain includes a stop at the RJ Marine Fuel Dock. There, you will find 90-octane gasoline, diesel if you need it, pump-out service, water, snacks, and beer. The marina is conveniently located at 690 Riverside Drive in Clayton, New York. Besides the fuel dock, RJ Marine offers many much-needed services for the boating community, including a water taxi, towing and salvage, and barge transportation. We all know that island living can be challenging at times. Let RJ Marine's water taxi assist you. Guests without a boat? No problem. Need those groceries delivered before the party? We got you. Or if you ever just need a safe late night ride home, RJ's to the rescue. RJ Marine is indisputably the local expert for marine towing and salvage. And you can stop wondering how you're going to get that pickup truck or skid steer to your island. Try RJ's barge transportation service. Their landing craft can provide the perfect solution to such dilemmas. RJ's fast, expert, and friendly service is what we all need to make our boaty lives more efficient. For more information, call 315-777-6059. Again, that's 315-777-6059.
Is it okay that I'm clapping for the ads? I'm like,
Yeah,
so-
I think so. And you cannot underestimate the value of pulling up to a fuel dock where there's people who know what they should do at the fuel dock, right?
Yeah.
Great
It's
point.
like, and they are trained almost militarily to be able to do that.
Yeah, and
I don't know if Maris will appreciate that.
They hire a whole bunch of kids militarily. Yeah. They are trained to a military standard by I don't think she'll care.
Okay.
But they hire a whole bunch of kids every summer, and they give them. I love it because they give these kids a sense of place, a sense of pride, a sense of community. They take them out for a giant boat ride party at the end of the summer on this really cool little
Is it on the Carina?
the Carino and the lighter. It's a coastal, basically a little coastal freighter.
It's a baby freighter.
Baby freighter, yeah. And these kids, like, they know what to do. They know, like, how to handle your boat. They know, like, they don't just, like, look at you. This is not knocking other gas docks where there are great kids who work and do a good job also. But, like, this is a big fuel dock where big boats go in and out of. And so these kids are
Yeah.
trained to deal with it. I also love RJ Marine because during scavenger hunt, we stopped in there to get some gas, and the people working were like, "Hey, those kids want popsicles?" I was like, "Hell yeah, they're not my kids. Give them popsicles." They were Julia's kids, and they have like always got dog biscuits. Like, hey, your dog want a biscuit? And there you go, give your dog a biscuit.
That's a professional operation right there.
Well, often the businesses that I find that I have the best relationship with are the ones where they give you a dog a biscuit. Our mechanic here in Philly, bring we walk the dog up to pick up a car, and they're like, oh, they like haul the biscuits out from behind the counter and give the dog a biscuit. I think it's
lots
just
to be
like
said for that.
an interesting marker for a business. All right, so thank you very much. Are you a boaty person? Do you like yacht rock? This is not another ad. Did your phone blow up over the last few days about the yacht rock documentary? And I'm gonna just try and step back and let
No, Jeff, just yours.
just mine and Steph's. I got a
And
number.
mine.
Everybody,
And
who,
Steph's.
everybody who texted that to me, thank you very much. And everybody that texted that to Steph, thank you very much. Right, Steph?
And only one of us actually watched it. Everybody can guess which
Will you
one
tell
of
us
watched
what happened? The documentary, DOCK documentary. What is this? I don't even know anything about it.
Well, I mean, you and I got the same text, which was actually a link to a podcast that was the subject of the podcast, right, was this documentary about yacht rock. And so that's fine. So I listened to the podcast, and it's the guy talking about the documentary, and I was like, okay, well, I wonder if I can watch the documentary. But my favorite part was the fact that it's a documentary with a K, so it's like
DOCK-umentary.
yeah, that made me like unreasonably happy. And then it just talked a lot. I mean, it just talked a lot about obviously many of my favorite yacht rock musicians. It talked a lot about how the genre had gone from not really being a genre, but just being the music of that time. and then it kind of passed into more of a
ironic, mocking.
Well, so I think so. First, it was
Sorry.
just music, right? And then next, it became like background music, almost. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens. It's music's 15, 20 years old, and it became easy listening, dentist office, elevator, whatever. And then it got kind of accidentally rebranded as Yacht Rock, which kind of came out of this jokey web series that coined the word Yacht Rock. And it's funny because I remember that's when I first heard about it, was around this time, and I don't know when it was, and now we look back and we're calling it that, but they talked about sort of how it went through that phase and like how the artists themselves thought of it then or think of it now. I thought it was great. I thought it was very enjoyable in every way. Michael McDonald plays a huge role, as he should. He's as delightful to listen to when he's talking as when he's singing. So that was a real high point. And then there's a lot about Steely Dan, which I love.
What's it called?
I think it's called Yacht Rock, a documentary.
With a DOCK.
But with a K, yes.
Where can people find it?
It's on. I watched it on Max. That is.
HBO Max. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know much about this sort
Your
of
streaming
thing.
services.
It was a show that said Max.
Yes, there was an icon that said Max, and I clicked on it. I did the how do I watch it? I just was very curious to see if I could actually just pull it up. It came out in November, so we're a couple months late here. But yeah, we did hear from a lot of people.
Well, we had the holidays. There's a lot that goes on during. You got to survive the holidays.
We were very busy hiding the elves on the shelf. And I loved it. I really did. And I think. I learned some things. There's a lot of Steely Dan in there, which makes me really happy. I'm a huge Steely Dan fan.
All right.
Patrick Murphy said the same thing. He said, I learned some things about Yacht Rock while watching this documentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Probably not. But everybody who tells me, like, you got to watch this, then that immediately makes me not want to watch something.
Yeah, it makes you not watch
because you have oppositional defiance disorder. We've established this.
Yes, okay, thank you.
But sometimes people are just right.
Well, but
that's okay. You can totally. I support you. I support you doing whatever you want.
Doing a lot of beep in this episode.
It was super cute, super cool. They actually, one line, and it made me really happy. They talked about the Steely Dan lyrics, and everyone's always talking about how Steely Dan was like so impeccable, like their music was so perfectly put together, and it was like so well crafted, and it was like blah blah blah. And those things may all very well be true, but that's not what I love about the band. I love their ridiculous lyrics, and so that was acknowledged in there. And they were like, if you listen to the lyrics of Steely Dan, it is hilarious. It's like one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Could you also tell me the other funniest thing, which is that at the end of the podcast that you listened to about this whole thing, what did the guy say?
Yes, let me see if I can capture this in a somewhat succinct way. So the guy who was talking on the podcast, who was a part of making the documentary, was talking. He was kind of geeking out about like the whole process and how long should it be, and like he really deep into music theory, and then turning that into film and all of this stuff. And then he said towards the very end, he said, I mean, anybody, it's not like we're like you could watch some things you could watch absolutely forever, like The Last Dance or something like that. But if it's not that level, that quality, then you really have to kind of make decisions about how to like shorten it up or curb the amount of material. And I was like, in my brain, I was like, The Last Dance? Does he mean the movie about the hip hop dancer and the ballerina that I have personally watched like 17 times because when it comes to movies, I am legitimately an 11-year-old girl. Like, I was like, why, yes, sir. The Last Dance should have been 9 hours long, and maybe someone's working on a remake that is 9 hours long. But actually, I'm sure what he actually meant was The Last Waltz, and
which is a really long
about what again? You told us this.
The Last Waltz is about the band, right? So it's like the band, and it's super famous for being like the most amazing, rockumentary, blah blah blah. I don't know any. I'm not going to go there because I don't know anything about it because I'm too busy watching ballerina hip hop movies. But in that moment, I was just like really, really enjoying the fact that there was this level of music geekery that ended with that slip. I believe that slip.
You believe that slip, TBD. Like that guy, he might be right there with you, and you're gonna be eating popcorn on the couch with him, watching it. 3 days in a row.
Never in the world would I want to be wrong more. And if there's some way that there could be 9 hours of The Last Dance coming at me, I'd quit my job. I'd just be like, but yes.
All right, that's awesome. So maybe I'll watch it, but I got such a strong, what is it called?
Aversion. Oh, you were oppositional defiance disorder.
It's a disorder?
Well,
ODD?
I mean, if I leave that last D off, it sounds better.
Oppositional defiance is just like, oh, that's just like a, whatever. It's like, it's like a thing.
It's just your personality.
Yes. But if you call it, I think it might be a disorder because right now I'm like, I'm not fucking watching that. I'm not watching that documentary. People want me to watch it. I'm not watching it.
They can tell me all they want, but I'm not going to watch it.
And then I married the hot admin. I'm sorry, the vice president of advertising, sitting here. Wait, this is not good. This is like a workplace romance.
There is no non-fraternization rules in place.
Well, you would know.
Yes, I would.
I don't know why you would know, but so, oh my God, I should not go off on this tangent.
Why don't we just stop and we can edit all this out because it's not interesting to other people.
It's definitely inside. Okay. I might watch that. All right. So we're going to go from yacht rock to
It's the boat of the week, stable and sleek. Check out that vessel, baby, isn't she sweet? It's the boat of the week, the boat of the week. Ooh, how I love me, the boat of the week. Da 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 da. Hey, yeah, let's check out the boat of the week.
this week's boat of the week shall be a captain's choice. We did not get any submissions. Everybody was too busy
hating Christmas
because
holidays.
They're right there with me. But we did have a little exchange, Stephanie and I, where I sent her a boat that came across my social media, and
I'm gonna pull it up right now too.
Between the elegant lines and striking bright work, the Williams 28 bass boat called Sea Shepherds turns heads everywhere she goes. This boat rides on the Stanley 28 hull and is powered by a 6-cylinder diesel to easily make 22 or 23 knots. Stephanie.
It is the prettiest boat I've ever seen.
Now, you are one for hyperbole around boats.
I'm like, it's got a little background track. I'm staring at it right now.
So the Sea Shepherd it's a picnic boat style, right? Sweeping sheer, little bit of tumble home, black hull. The best part of this boat is it has a huge wood-framed windshield that has got all kinds of curves in its frame and glass. It's split up front, which you don't typically like. You don't like a split windshield.
No, you're right.
But the side of that windshield, just like, it's meant to give you a lot of shelter. It's definitely like a Maine Northeast kind of boat.
Yeah.
But the sides sweep like down in almost like a Nike swoosh, sort of like, just like really, really cool, really, really cool curve. The sides of this windshield frame. And in the first picture on this post, there's a couple of people sitting in the seats driving it. And to scale, like the windshield, they're sitting up on some tall seats. The windshield's like a foot above their head still. And so this all sounds like, oh, that sounds weird, like giant windshield on a boat, but it really works.
It really does. It's so cool looking. Hey, I have a question. There was another post I saw that you referred to, and you said, what did you say about almost reverse shear?
Oh God, that thing was hot. Yeah.
Hold on, I have to find that while that was I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
Yeah. It's here I found it. It's a True North 38. Here's what it describes. If you're after a seaworthy boat with exceptional styling, look no further than a True North 38. This Tillotson Pearson Classic features a plumb bow. That means the pointy part, the front of the boat, goes straight up and down. Plumb means just like straight up and down. It doesn't slant back. Low and graceful shear line, tumble home and reverse transom with clamshell doors. The boat in these photos is Lifesaver. She was built in 04, powered by a Yanmar 440 diesel. That's a big diesel. It's a big boat. Yeah, I forgot about that. I had a moment with this thing where I was like, oh God. So if you look at it from the side, the plumb bow goes up pretty high, and then the shear line, where the sides of the boat transition to the deck, goes downward as it goes toward the back. And there is for the first quarter of that curve from front to back, the curve of the shear, it's just kind of like going at a straight, shallow angle toward the stern, pointing, sloping downward. And then the slope gets steeper, pretty at about a third of the way back. So it's like a shallow angle, and then it gets a little steeper, and then it tapers out again and gets shallow until it just sort of goes to horizontal. Reverse shear is when, instead of like a dished curve, the curve almost like goes up a little bit and then back down. I'm trying to think of like a shape in nature that would have like this.
Yeah, I can't quite picture it.
But
I just thought yeah. Anyway, I maybe this is just too visual. I don't know. I'll just Google it.
So
I know I'm talking about.
People will call like express cabin cruisers. Sometimes they'll call them football boats.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Now, I knew we talked about this once before.
Yeah. Those cruisers have a lot of reverse, quote unquote, reverse shear. So shear is normally it's sort of like a swoop down from the bow. It's a swoop down toward the stern. And so instead of just swooping down the whole way, like curving down and out, it like comes back up. And then on like cabin cruisers, powerboat cabin cruisers that some people will uncharitably call football boats, that's because they want to maximize interior volume. They want to get as much interior space as they can. So the like shear line goes back up, or in the bow it's down, and then it like literally goes up.
Got it. I got it now. A boat with a deck that curves downward towards the bow and stern, with the highest point of the deck being in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that would be if the whole boat is exhibiting this reverse shear. You could also do part of it too, right?
Yeah, and this thing has a touch of what maybe isn't technically reverse shear, but the way that the shear line progresses from bow to stern, it's not a continuous like swooping down toward the stern. There's a transition where it's like it's going down, but not that much, and then it like drops a little bit faster and further. And it just the lines on this thing really spoke to me.
Yes, very nice. All right.
Both of those were posted by Soundings Online, which is a magazine and a cool. Soundings is a magazine, and Soundings Online is their it's what they call their Instagram account. So we're looking at this stuff on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, the Tillotson Pearson Classic, and this boat's a big sort of cabin cruiser sort of thing, but it's also got a slipper stern at the back.
Ooh.
With clamshell doors. So if you scroll through, we've talked about slipper sterns before. A slipper stern, it's like the back of the boat. Like if you were to sit on the back of the boat facing backward, your feet would be going down a slope toward the eventual sort of ending of the boat.
Okay.
And you could slide down. You could basically slide down the transom because
I was thinking it was the opposite, that you would be able to bend your knees way beyond 90 degrees.
No. Like you'd be basically.
What do you call that? You know what I'm talking about? I feel like this.
Like when the transom, the surface of the transom goes way back under the boat.
Yeah.
That's loosely overhang at the transom.
Okay.
Doesn't have
I just remember it came up when we were talking about what the Hinckley sailboat. But back to this slipper stern.
Yeah. I call it a slipper stern because there's a style of boat in England on the rivers and canals there called a slipper launch, where they have like, this is a huge aspect of the aesthetic, the design. And so this thing has clamshell doors on the back because in order to get out of the back of the boat, you've got to like open up this giant sloping surface with clamshell doors that look like the doors down to your basement, like the outside door down to your basement, sometimes called a Bilko door.
Yeah. Or,
Yeah. Like imagine if the back of your boat was like had that slope the whole way across of those doors, and that you had to open up a couple of them to get like to go swimming off the back.
So I brought up this one, but what are we doing for? Do they both get boat of the week because they're Captain's Choice, or is it just the first one?
You know,
Captain's Choice is when you pick one for me, right? Which you did, and I'm in love with it, and I'm going to go buy it right now.
I think that wins.
Okay, good.
Because we started this with a Captain's Choice, and you didn't explicitly pick this one for me. You just remarked on me. I've been off Instagram and my phone, frankly, for a lot lately. But I got on and I slipped into this Soundings Online Instagram account and saw this, and I was like, "Oh God, that's good." So yes, ladies and gentlemen, what the heck was that thing called?
Captain's Choice?
No, the boat.
Oh.
This is clearly quite memorable. Ladies and gentlemen, the Williams 28 Bass Boat Sea Shepherd is your boat of the week.
Sea Shepherd, yeah.
It's the boat of the week, stable and sleek. Check out that vessel, baby.
And I'm excited because I just nailed a Captain's Choice.
You did. That was well done.
I think
that was a good one.
For as often as you love a boat and like a boat and think a boat is amazing and beautiful and hot, like when you just said a little bit ago, you said that's the most beautiful boat I've ever seen. I think you meant that.
I did.
That might be it. That might be the most beautiful boat you have ever seen.
I need it.
You do.
I will go get it right now.
Like you would stand up behind that windshield and drive that thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
but it's probably like was it like an IO?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a straight inboard or not. It's got a
doesn't matter.
It's got a diesel in it.
I only care about looks anyway. So
it's got a diesel in it.
Check. Whatever it is, I'll drive it.
Yeah, it's got a diesel in it, and that means that it would be welcome at RJ Marine Gas Talk where they have diesel. Missy, do you want to read our second message?
Ahoy, Bodie Show listeners. Join us for the 35th annual River Hospital Polar Bear Dip fundraiser. Come partake in one of the greatest Thousand Island traditions on Saturday, February 22nd at Bonnie Castle Resort. Cheer on brave participants as they take a plunge in the chilly St. Lawrence River, or sign up to dive in for a great cause. Registration is now open. Go to riverhospital.org/news/events and register today. Prizes will be awarded for best costume, best technique, and most money raised. Don't forget to check out the merch store for all your dipping needs. Plus, that stuff is really cute. And your very own Bodie Show co-hosts will be there to cheer on the valiant dippers and just to celebrate this time-honored event in general. The dipping begins at 1 p.m. on February 22nd. Brave the cold and make an impact. We can't wait to see you at the plunge.
And listeners, if you're curious about the Thousand Islands, the St. Lawrence River, you got a lot of stuff going on in the summer and you don't think you can make it up then, you should come for this because it is a scene. It is a scene. And
it is a scene.
The Bonnie Castle is this really cool old school resort that's been going for a long time. It's been recently, in the last 10 years, it's been restored in a wonderful way, maintained by some people who care a lot about it. It has probably one of the best all-around bars that I've ever been in.
The one that's built into the rock?
No, well, it's got two of the best all-around bars that I've ever been in. But the indoor bar upstairs, it's a big.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
Like I love me a U or a bar in the round when all the circulation is around the bar. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's against the wall or something like that. This is one of those, and it's just people are coming out on a cold winter day and having a great time outside, and then they're going in to warm up in multiple ways, and it's a fun time. And they raise a bunch of money. You can find teams if you want to join and jump. You can jump as an individual. You don't even have to raise that much money. it's a
Costumes are encouraged.
costumes encouraged is a good time.
Yep, the costumes are always amazing.
So we really want to thank Patrick who sponsored that message for us
Thanks,
Yes.
Patrick Murphy.
for River Hospital. Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Awesome. Can't
yeah.
wait.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
it's not that far away. I'm getting excited already. I
Yeah.
love that event. We had so much fun last year.
we did. It's it's the 22nd. That's going to come quick. I think that was a pretty good show. Yeah, welcome 2025. I had one other thing I wanted to say. No, that's about it. That was it. I really want to thank our advertisers. Thank you very much. We love you for supporting us. RJ Marine
Yes,
is
it's true.
RJ Marine's a magical place. They do just about anything and everything on the water, and if they don't, they know the people that do. They're wonderful people. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap.
Rock and roll, man.
Anybody have anything
Good
else? they
times.
wanna
I had a
add?
blast.
No, I had a good time. This is nice. This was a nice show. It was pretty chill.
show.
I felt quite like moderate today. There you go.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the Bodie Show. Pack the cooler, grab the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo ho 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 ho.
That's it for the Bodie Show. Thank you for being here, Melissa, Vice President of Administration. No, Vice President of Advertising. Thank you for being here, Stephanie. I don't even.
My pleasure.
It's nice,
As always, my pleasure.
nice. Don't even have to play the "She's Back" music because it's just like you're just back now. Like we don't have to celebrate it. It's just a thing. And thank you, listeners. We really appreciate you. We're grateful that you're sticking with us through all this. Come to the polar bear dip. It's gonna be great. All right, we are out.